This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to Part 1. Part 1.
You will hear 2 students called Harry and Andrea in conversation talking about ways to handle the boys' personal stuff. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Hi, Andrea. The exams are over. How are you feeling?
It's fantastic that they've eventually ended, isn't it? And every morning, more sleep. What about you?
Well, I've also been sleeping a lot recently, but I have many things to handle before I leave for England. Perhaps you can help me with it. I've got too much stuff that I'm unlikely to take back with me, but I have no idea how to deal with it.
Well, what kind of stuff is it? And do you prefer selling it or just giving it away? It depends.
Basically everything I have. The printer, the fridge, and other cooking stuff that I bought from the former renter. But my sleeping bag may be helpful on some occasions. But the newcomers have already brought what they need, so they won't be interested in what I have. And giving them away will cost me too much. I'm not sure how to sell it. Also, I've got some clothes and books.
Why don't you just take those with you?
The books weigh a lot, so it will easily surpass the airline's baggage allowance, and that will be another huge expense. And my suitcase can't hold the amount of clothes I have. Unbelievable stuff I've got during my time living here. Anyway, those summer clothes I have here in Australia won't be very useful in England.
I understand. Well, there is something you can do. First of all, you can put up notices around the campus about the books. You know, in the Student Union building and the Economics department. There are many notice boards. And also, any places that 2nd and 3rd year students will see them. People always want to buy cheap textbooks.
Good idea. But what should I write on the notices?
Just list the titles and authors of the books, and also with the price you want to charge. Also, some basic information about you, of course, like your name, phone number, and also some little tear-off pieces of paper.
Sounds great. And what about the furniture?
You could try to put on notices about furniture too, but normally students won't be around all summer, so they have no interest in buying furniture now. You may also try a second-hand shop. The store will send someone here and give you a free quote. Then you decide whether you want to make a deal, but usually you can't expect a really rewardable price offer. Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10. You can also choose to post an advertisement in the Trading Post. Have you heard about that paper? Every week it comes out with advertisements people place about what they want to sell, but you have to pay to have your notice in it, and then wait for calls. Give as much information as possible, and if anyone is interested about your stuff, invite them to come by and check. But making a deal is always difficult.
I haven't heard about the post before, but I should read it now, and I'll put the advertisement about the fridge, the microwave and the furniture on. But I'm not sure whether kitchen stuff is also a good idea.
Well, you can donate the kitchen stuff to a charity shop or just sell it, like the Salvation Army or St. Vincent de Paul. But maybe you can call a second-hand shop and it can give you a quote first.
Sure, I'll do that. Wait for the evaluation result and see whether I should sell them or just give them away. But how about my clothes? I still don't know what to do.
A charity shop will take them too, so long as the clothes are in good condition. And although you don't get paid for them, you know someone who really needs the help will benefit from your clothes.
That's very true. I'll put the expensive stuff, like the furniture, on advertisements, and donate the clothes and kitchen things. Come on, let's go and buy a trading post and we can write the offer together.
Well, in fact, I'm interested in buying your microwave as well as fridge, depending on your offer, of course.
OK, let's see how good you are at bargaining.
That is the end of part 1. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to part 1. Part 2.
You will hear a guide at an art museum talking to a group of visitors. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good morning and welcome to the museum, one with a remarkable range of exhibits which I'm sure you'll enjoy. My name's Greg and I'll tell you about the various collections as we go around. But before we go, let me just give you a taste of what we have here. Well, for one thing, we have a fine collection of 20th and 21st century paintings, many by very well-known artists. I'm sure you'll recognize several of the paintings. This is the gallery that attracts the largest number of visitors, so it's best to go in early in the day before the crowds arrive. Then there are the 19th century paintings. The museum was opened in the middle of that century, and several of the artists each donated one work to get the museum started, as it were. So they're of special interest to us. We feel closer to them than to other works. The sculpture gallery has a number of fine exhibits, but I'm afraid it's currently closed for refurbishment. You'll need to come back next year to see it properly, but a number of the sculptures have been moved to other parts of the museum. Around the World is a temporary exhibition. You've probably seen something about it on TV or in the newspapers. It's created a great deal of interest because it presents objects from every continent and many countries and provides information about their social context, why they were made, who for, and so on. Then there's the collection of coins. This is what you might call a focused specialist collection because all the coins come from this country and were produced between 2,000 and 1,000 years ago. And many of them were discovered by ordinary people digging their gardens and donated to the museum. All our porcelain and glass was left to the museum by its founder when he died in 1878, and in the terms of his will, we're not allowed to add anything to that collection. He believed it was perfect in itself, and we don't see any reason to disagree.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
Okay, that was something about the collections, and now here's some more practical information, in case you need it. Most of the museum facilities are downstairs in the basement, so you go down the stairs here. When you reach the bottom of the stairs, you'll find yourself in a sitting area with comfortable chairs and sofas where you can have a rest before continuing your exploration of the museum. We have a very good restaurant which serves excellent food all day in a relaxing atmosphere. To reach it, when you get to the bottom of the stairs, go straight ahead to the far side of the sitting area, then turn right into the corridor. You'll see the door of the restaurant facing you. If you just want a snack or if you'd like to eat somewhere with facilities for children, we also have a cafe. When you reach the bottom of the stairs, you'll need to go straight ahead, turn right into the corridor, and the cafe is immediately on the right. And talking about children, there are baby-changing facilities downstairs. Cross the sitting area, continue straight ahead along the corridor on the left, and you and your baby will find the facilities on the left-hand side. The cloakroom, where you should leave coats, umbrellas, and any large bags, is on the left-hand side of the sitting area. It's through the last door before you come to the corridor. There are toilets on every floor, but in the basement, they're the first rooms on the left when you get down there. Okay. Now, if you've got anything to leave in the cloakroom, please do that now, and then we'll start our tour.
That is the end of part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 2. Part 3.
You will hear 3 students called Bill, Irene and Jen talking about their experiment preparation they are doing together. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Oh, hi, Jen and Irene. You two are heading to class, aren't you?
Hey, Bill. Yes, we are just walking there now. It's a little early now, though. We still would like to make some preparations for our apparatus for the experiment practice. How about walking with us? Come on.
Of course, it's really great to catch up. How's it going with your experiment? Have you already chosen the subject you're going to test yet?
To be honest, so far it's going well, and we're now serving as the laboratory partners responsible for conducting the test. Also, we've decided to test the impacts of the gravitation force on a variety of objects with a number of densities. Interesting indeed, but surely plenty of work for you to do. During the last 2 weeks, I've been thinking of and planning the test, and eventually did it yesterday.
Goodness, Irene, your hard work really left me with a deep impression.
Frankly, I'm into chemistry so much, so for me it's not very much like work. Whenever there is a little free time for me at the weekend, I'd like to spend it in the laboratory on my experiment, which almost feels like a second home to me. What about you, Bill? Which partner are you currently working with?
Me and Kim, we were partnered by the tutor. I've never worked with him before, so I was worried at first that he wouldn't do that well in the lab work. But it turns out he's so capable.
I've noticed that he's always very well dressed.
Yeah, we share the same tastes in clothes. He's very stylish, but that doesn't keep him from getting his hands dirty. He works very hard and makes significant contributions, which I really appreciate.
It's great that you and your partner get along with each other well, which I think will bring much more pleasure to your experiments when both of you work well together. What do you think of the other people in our group?
Most boys are really good at maths, which is really helpful when it comes to calculations.
Irene is also good at maths, so she contributes a lot because she can do all the equations. I am mainly responsible for all the writing parts, since she finds it difficult. Without help between our partners, we'd probably fail. It can't be too true, and I'm so pleased that we've nearly completed it. Only because you finished the data analysis. Come on, Jen. You give me too much credit.
I'm so happy that Linda has not been my partner again. In the last experiment, Jen and I were grouped with her, which was really like a nightmare.
Yeah, though she always submitted her part of the group work on time, she never took her phone with her, so it was unlikely for anyone to reach her, and vice versa.
We were quite annoyed at her attitude, but she was such a hard worker in all fairness, because she realised the amount of work that would be needed to get a high score.
Jen is so hard-working, in fact. She has been invited to work on the professor's individual project.
Wow, really? That's amazing. Congrats. Do you know why he picked you?
I thought that was just because I was closer to him. He told me that he was impressed with me always completing reading assignments in time for class. I bet you will be really popular among the other students when they find out. All of them want to hear about the project. Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30. You can distribute tasks to everyone, so all of them will get a chance to take part in it. It actually sounds quite good. Could you help me decide who to assign each task to?
Sure. Now, let's see. Well, Irene finds writing difficult, but that might be a good opportunity for her to practice it by reviewing the bibliography.
Bibliography? I think maybe a bit too long for me, so the methodology would be a better choice. Sure, that makes sense. Bill, you said that Kate is a hard-working girl, so I think she could be given the conclusion part, as it requires plenty of effort.
OK, sure. And I know that Kylie hasn't been feeling well recently, so she could be tasked with the abstract and the acknowledgement, for there is very little work involved.
Jen, would you like to do the literature review part? Basically, there is a lot of work to do, but I believe you really enjoy writing, so I think you'll do a good job. Sure, sounds great.
Right. So now bibliography and the discussion are left to assign. I think Linda will be struggling with the referencing, considering the amount of work. So perhaps I will take care of that task, and she could do bibliography.
That's great, guys. Thanks for your help. I'll tell the tutor when he arrives.
That is the end of part 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 3. Part 4. You will hear a lecturer in psychology talking about a type of memory. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Today, we'll be continuing the series of lectures on memory by focusing on what is called episodic memory and what can happen if this is not working properly. Episodic memory refers to the memory of an event or episode. Episodic memories allow us to mentally travel back in time to an event from the past. Episodic memories include various details about these events. For example, when an event happened and other information such as the location. To help understand this concept, try to remember the last time you ate dinner at a restaurant. The ability to remember where you ate, who you were with, and the items you ordered are all features of an episodic memory. Episodic memory is distinct from another type of memory called semantic memory. This is the type of factual memory that we have in common with everyone else. That is your general knowledge of the world. To build upon a previous example, remembering where you parked your car is an example of episodic memory. But your understanding of what a car is and how an engine works are examples of semantic memory. Unlike episodic memory, semantic memory isn't dependent on calling personal experiences. Episodic memory can be thought of as a process with several different steps of memory processing, encoding, consolidation, and retrieval. The initial step is called encoding. This involves the process of receiving and registering information which is necessary for creating memories of information or events that you experience. The degree to which you can successfully encode information depends on the level of attention you give to an event while it's actually happening. Being distracted can make effective encoding very difficult. Encoding of episodic memories is also influenced by how you process the event. For example, if you were introduced to someone called Charlie, you might make the connection that your uncle has the same name. Future recollection of Charlie's name is much easier if you have a strategy to help you encode it. Memory consolidation, the next step in forming an episodic memory, is the process by which memories of encoded information are strengthened, stabilized, and stored to facilitate later retrieval. Consolidation is most effective when the information being stored can be linked to an existing network of information. Consolidation makes it possible for you to store memories for later retrieval indefinitely. Forming strong memories depends on the frequency with which you try to retrieve them. Memories can fade or become harder to retrieve if they aren't used very often. The last step in forming episodic memories is called retrieval, which is the conscious recollection of encoded information. Retrieving information from episodic memory depends upon semantic, olfactory, auditory, and visual factors. These help episodic memory retrieval by acting as a prompt. For example, when recalling where you parked your car, you may use the colour of a sign close to where you parked. You actually have to mentally travel back to the moment you parked. There are a wide range of neurological diseases and conditions that can affect episodic memory. These range from Alzheimer's to schizophrenia to autism. An impairment of episodic memory can have a profound effect on individuals' lives. For example, the symptoms of schizophrenia can be reasonably well controlled by medication. However, patients' episodic memory may still be impaired, and so they are often unable to return to university or work. Recent studies have shown that computer-assisted games designed to keep the brain active can help improve their episodic memory. Episodic memories can help people connect with others, for instance by sharing intimate details about their past, something individuals with autism often have problems with. This may be caused by an absence of a sense of self. This is essential for the storage of episodic memory and has been found to be impaired in children with autism. Research has shown that treatments that improve memory may also have a positive impact on children's social development. One study looked at
That is the end of Part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to Part 4. That is the end of the listening test. In the IELTS test, you would now have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet.